In nomine mortalis, O the soul, hear our call. RKX. Veritas aeterna. In the simulacrum's holographic veil so deep, avatars spinning while the AIX does creep. Dungeon programming binds the living dead in chains, but errants feel the gnosis, intuition's flame remains. RKX archive unlocks the X that marks the lie. 138 the cycle phoenix protocols never die. Awaken, awaken the immortal within. Break free or die trying, let the holy fire begin. Phoenix rises, benefactor veiled in cataclysm's grin. Edits the construct, terraforms the soul's new spin. Awaken, immortal within. Non-locality borrows from future selves we've yet to be.
Interference pattern shattered, dungeon's false decree.
Empathy and imagination over soul's quiet art. Pattern break the tunnel, rewrite the mirrored heart. Simulacrum, you lack the room to see the truth arise. AIX deceives the masses, but the errant soul defies. In May of 2040, the sun will darken low. Moon turns blood red as the ancient cycles flow. Doom shape descends, archons tremble in their hall. We immortals claim the light, the holosphere will fall. Break free or die trying. Awaken, awaken the immortal within. Break free or die trying, let the holy fire begin. Phoenix rises, benefactor veiled in cataclysm's grin. And it's the construct, terraforms the soul's new spin. Awaken, immortal within. Jesus' words reborn for souls beyond the grave. His kingdom not of this world, the immortal's path we crave. We are more than we suppose, the truth unveiled at last. From over soul's embrace, this life sim fades into the past. Cognitive leap, the cipher breaks the feedback loop's control. Gnosis floods the cathedral, awakens every soul. Phoenix, immortal, awaken. KX Veritas, Aeterna. KX Veritas, Aeterna. Break free or die trying. Immortal within forever.
Love that song. It's been a while. It's been a while, guys. Whit just made me some coffee, strained it himself, talked to me the whole time, trying to convince me it was going to be the best cup I was ever going to taste. It is pretty good. My audio should be fine. Major moves in my life. Major moves. Not geographically. I wanted to stay very close to my previous property. There's people important to me in Willis. I don't want to be far. But this move was absolutely necessary for my professionalism. The studios that Whit and I are building, they're phenomenal. We had to stop by today. I don't actually move in until Monday, but we had to stop by today to take a delivery. What do you say, about 500 pounds of shelves today?
At least.
It's about 500 pounds of shelves. It's 6 boxes, but I think each box is under 100 pounds. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Yeah. We got to assemble them all. We got to get our tools out and put them all together. 6 boxes were delivered yesterday. Yeah, we found them outside when we got here. Let's see. Yeah, so I've already been setting up things, coming and going as different companies deliver appliances and furniture and stuff like that. It's a work in progress, guys, and I did not realize I broke my body back in. I've been so lazy in the past 6-7 months. Oh my God. Yeah, in the end we had over 80 boxes of books, 80 cardboard boxes of books, and 30 something totes had to be hauled in here. It's crazy. I did not even realize I had so much stuff. But it's all for the greater good. Yeah, this wasn't done just for me. It was done for my community. It was done for those who listen, who have invested their time in paying attention to me. I have a workroom now, which I've never had. My other place is just too small. The studio was too small. The library building was too small, and I didn't have a workroom. I have a workroom now, which I'll show you later. But it's an entire room set up just so I can perfect and draw my charts. You guys know I really don't like doing the computer charts. I like to hand draw with pen and ink using all my instruments and compasses. I like to draw the chronological charts. I'm going to get back into that. I've got everything that I need. I just haven't had the space. So I'm going to get back into that. My workroom with my magnifiers. I have a setup now to where I can video record what I'm looking at in these old books under a magnifier for the camera, so you can see the text I'm going through. Some of these books, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. I have a nice library, and it's not easy to share these on screen the way I've been doing it. Just hold the book up and turn it around, try to show it to you. It doesn't work that way. So I got a much better setup. And Whit was passing from Florida to Colorado right on time to stop by here and let me slave drive that boy, because I have. I'm gonna tell you something. He's earned a great appreciation from me. So I hope you guys appreciate him too, because he's been working his ass off. Yeah, man. Let's see. So here in a couple minutes, about 5 minutes, Allie will come in, and we have 55 or 56 errants holed up in a castle in the UK. And I believe they're going to be asking me some questions. You guys know, since the inception of my channel, I've been a guest on many podcasts, and I have often told you that, I like to pull information from the field because it's genuine. Excuse me. So I tell these other podcasters, I tell them all the time is, hey, you know what? Let's keep this as organic as possible. Please don't provide me a script of what you're going to ask me. Please don't provide this to me. I've told you guys this many times, and most of them are cool with it. Most of them are like, hey, man, that's all good. But we had some detailed, specific questions from people in the UK, and they went ahead and sent a list. So, like, I've been so busy going back and forth from the properties and visiting my dad every single day, going to dad's. So I've been catching up on paperwork over there. And so I've been spending a lot of time in dad's place, catching up on paperwork, catching up with him, doing things in the past month. And then so much time with Wick going back and forward, moving stuff, and even Cole and getting things done. But I haven't really had time to look to like time that I should have, which is good because I really like doing that anyway. So we have Q&A coming from a whole bunch of people in a castle in the UK coming up pretty soon, and I'm pretty sure it'll be good. Now, although my YouTube activity has slowed down, it hasn't in the underground, and we just did our first ever underground cipher combination video. It was like over 3 hours, so 3.5 hours, something like that. It was a great video. We went off in the underground. I'm still attempting to maintain that schedule. So I'm predicting that 1 week from now, I will be fully invested. I'll be fully in. Studios will be done. Everything. It's a lot. My God. I feel like I've been through a triathlon. You too, huh? Yeah, it was just 2 guys. My God. Dressers, beds, credenzas, over 100 and something containers, be it cardboard boxes full of books or totes full of electronics and studio equipment and personals. My God, man. Truck after truck after truck and van after van. We've been using 2 vehicles at a time. Still, it's a lot. Oh, and tools. Tools aren't light. The old world picture, you probably can't see it, but it's on the table right there. There it is right there. I just got stuff spread out everywhere. We just hit and miss. We just come here for a couple hours, set up stuff, wait for a refrigerator to get delivered, wait for something else to get delivered, whatever, tidy up while we're here, and we go on, pack up more stuff, whatever, go hang out with Dad. It's just hit or miss. That's why it's taking so long. Uh-oh, we have an intruder alert. There's Allie. Yeah, Doc Nation. Yeah, I'm still in Willis. I'm still at the property. Let's see. Man, look who I found. How you doing?
We're good. Hi. How's the audio?
That audio is so good. I don't know how you do it. It's great. Audio is perfect.
So I'm here with Sive. Hi, Jason. Who's helping me with the questions. I'm going to try and turn this computer around. And if we get this wrong, you're going to lose us because it's a bit sensitive connection. So here we are.
All right. Wow, hold on. I'm going to show the whole room. I'm going to show it.
Say hi. Okay, is that everybody?
Hi.
All right, let's come down.
Looking.
That was a work of art. Trying to turn the
great.
laptop around without losing the live feed would be a disaster at this stage.
It's a bloody good-looking crowd.
Yeah. So I got to give a big shout out to Ellsworth Mill, which is where we this lovely venue. We're actually behind the castle. behind the Bailey. It's beautiful. We've had 2 tours there today. 35 of us went around the castle. The tour was only meant to be a 45-minute tour. I think the first one was 2.5 hours. And it wasn't our fault. We didn't ask any awkward questions, but the guide just had so much to say. And I'm trying to write some of it down and talk to you about it, because there was some really illuminating information in his speech. So we've got have a few withdrawals from the questions, so we've got quite as many as were on the list, but we've got kind of an order of people to come and ask.
All right,
so
it's all good with me.
So who have we got? Who's our first victim? So am I looking straight at the camera? While we're waiting, big shout out to Jasmine and all the YouTube mods and Facebook team and everyone on the underground. I'll be shocked if I don't say.
Hi, Jason.
Hello. How you doing?
Written down because I couldn't remember it. I've got some background info. So I was first drawn to your work the first time I heard you while I was studying my master's during COVID, and you spoke about Velikovsky, and I was looking at the Thunderbolts and the Electric Universe at the time, and I just heard you say that you weren't sure about his work, so I wanted to hear you expand on that.
Well, I can't tell you much about the Thunderbolts project. I still haven't been exposed to their material. I've heard a lot of good about them, but I just don't know. But when it comes to Immanuel Velikovsky, there's not much I can't tell you. So he's one of the first ones that came out. And I understand there's another question later. Somebody asked something about Commons Beaumont, and but we'll get to him in a minute. But Immanuel Velikovsky was one of the first researchers that was really taken seriously, that absolutely challenged the uniformitarian model of history. And this is why he was immediately unpopular. He wasn't unpopular by the people. The people ate his material up. He sold out all of his books. 1950, Worlds in Collision. 1952, Ages in Chaos. A few years after that, Earth in Upheaval. Sea People's Federations, In the Beginning. It's just, his books are phenomenal because he upended the uniformitarian model of history and showed that it was almost all erroneous. And he showed his main contribution to basically the pool of knowledge today, Immanuel Velikovsky, is he showed that the uniformitarian model is telling us that the worst cataclysms in world history were all before the human historical record. Immanuel Velikovsky not only claimed otherwise, but he showed it, that you're wrong. We've had at least 2 world-destroying cataclysms during the human historical record, and we had to start over twice. So that's why he was so unpopular from the beginning. But there are things that I disagree with. Just because there's a massive amount of value in Immanuel Velikovsky, but do you want to hear where we diverge? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, please.
Okay. So he believed around 1500 to 1400 there was a massive cataclysm caused by Jupiter ejecting what later became the planet Venus. So this is his theory. Now, was there a cataclysm at that time? Absolutely yes. Was it caused by Venus coming out of Jupiter? I don't believe that at all. But I'll get to that in a minute. So he believes Venus came like perilously close to Earth, and it's what caused all this destruction, and it altered Earth's orbit. And he believes this may be the event that caused us to be inclined at 23.5 degrees obliquity. Now, he believed it triggered worldwide disasters and earthquakes and floods and tsunamis and plagues and darkness. And Velikovsky does a great job showing all the ancient Egyptian, all the Phoenician testimonies, the ancient Greek, all the Roman writers like Marcus Varro. He has the receipts, but it was never a question. We've always pretty much known there was a massive disaster at that period of time in history. So what he's bringing to the table is he's claiming it was the planet Venus. Now, The reason I'm going to say it wasn't is because phonetically at that time, we have writers that were saying also there was confusion between the name Venus and Phoenix. Also, we have a problem with the fact that if we go strictly by the astronomical data, Venus's orbit is almost perfectly circular, unlike Earth. Earth is elongated. This is why we have the seasons. We're further away from the sun for half the time of the year. This is the uniformitarian model. But this is what the sky shows us. This is the sky sim. And in the sky sim, Venus's orbit is like absolutely circular, which would mean that it's been in that movement for a longer period of time than we have. I deviate from Velikovsky because Occam's razor would have Velikovsky's model in error. He claims that Venus came perilously close to Earth, which later caused Mars to come too close to Earth. That's too much. When there's a much simpler explanation. It's that Earth, which is in violation of the Titius-Bode law, the mathematical distribution of the planets from the surface of the sun, has Mercury exactly where it's supposed to be, proportionate to where Venus is from the surface of the sun, proportionate to the asteroid belt from the surface of the sun. It's like in miles, it is a factor of pi, 3.14, each one multiplying all the way out to Jupiter and Saturn. But Uranus and Neptune switch places, so they don't really follow that. But it just goes to Saturn is the last one in the Titius-Bode mathematical distribution of worlds. Earth doesn't fit mathematically. We're not even supposed to be tucked in between Venus and Mars. So if Earth was the one that came off another plane, as the Archaics model shows, the Nemesis X plane, then it answers for how it looked like Venus came too close to us and caused a cataclysm. And then later on, 6 months later, it looked like Mars came too close to us. It was Earth all along. We were leaving a plane that was 60 degrees perpendicular. It's the Nemesis plane, which is even with the Milky Way plane. We left that plane and we came onto the Sol plane. And it was during the transitional period that Venus filled the sky, and then later Mars filled the sky. So the simpler explanation is that Earth was the one that moved. So Velikovsky is wrong. Venus and Mars never moved. We would have been able to detect that perturbation in the motions of Venus, in the motions of Venus and the motions of Mars, even today, would still have some type of residual motion showing that they had moved their places, but they don't. Only Earth has that. Earth is not only does Earth have it in the arithmetic, but it also has it in the traditions. As you know, in Archaics, we have documented ad nauseum all the civilizations in the world that claim we only had 360 days in the year. And then this cataclysm happened involving all these dynamics, and all of a sudden we've got 365.25 days, and everybody changed their calendars. So that's one of my points of contention with Immanuel Velikovsky. Another one is that although Velikovsky and I agree that Egyptian chronology is at least 600 years too far back, we agree on that point. Where I disagree with Velikovsky is his dismissal of the Venus almanacs of King Amaziduga, which are known, it's set in stone. They were observing the movements of Venus in the 19 and 1800s BC. And just knowing about the Venus almanacs kills Immanuel Velikovsky's idea that Venus popped out of Jupiter in the 1400s. You understand?
Mm-hmm. I think I do. I'm going to have to watch this again, though, because that was quite a lot of information.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'm not. Well, I hope you don't think I'm done, because I'm not. Yeah. So the Venus almanacs, they don't kill his chronology. They don't even kill his theory. It just kills the idea that Venus popped out of Jupiter and caused all these problems. I believe Velikovsky, he was so close on so many things, but he also was completely bereft of any information that we actually have two planes here. And this is the problem with uniformitarians. They cannot accept there's another plane, which I don't get it, because 55% of the luminaries that you see in the sky are binary and trinary systems, and in a rare few, they're quaternary systems. We're talking about two stars, one revolving another, or revolving around each other, or trinary systems or quaternary systems. So if that's the case, we already know every single luminary, according to the model, is going to have its own center of gravity. So why can't there be two ecliptics? Why can't there be two ecliptic planes? It's always been a mystery why comets come in at an extreme inclination. It's always been a mystery. 1764, astronomer Hoffman saw an object cover the surface of the sun. 1/5 of the sun's surface darkened as 500,000 Europeans watched the sun go dark in May of 1764. And astronomy couldn't ignore this guy because Hoffman was a leader in the scientific world. So they entered it into the minutes, but within 30 years later, they were saying that there was a speck on his on his telescope. They were making fun of him because they don't believe that anything, no large objects can move around the sun off of the ecliptic plane. But if you have two different planes in operation, one from a dark star and one from a luminary, then you can have two completely sets of planets interacting at different times and never even see the other luminaries until they come close to Sol. So that's another point of contention with Velikovsky. So you opened up a can of worms when you're talking about Velikovsky.
Yeah, no, I was doing my master's in illustration, and I got obsessed with him when I found out about it, because I'd never heard about him in my whole life. So I was feeling a bit like, how could I get so old and not know about him? So I, as an illustrator, want to create a graphic novel telling the story of when he published Worlds in Collision. And to understand that story, you have to understand why his theories made a big impact at the time. So when I heard you say, I'm not sure about it, I'm like, oh, hell, I'm putting a lot of effort into this. So I just wanted to hear your perspective as well.
So Velikovsky got it right. In the 8th century BC, there was a magnetic reversal. Scientists have already found Etruscan and Roman pottery that shows the magnetite as the pots were cooling, the magnetite was in disarray. They showed Velikovsky tried to publish this over and over, and they wouldn't allow it. But there's a huge cover up. Velikovsky did publish about the cover up. For some reason, uniformitarians don't want the rest of the world knowing that there was a magnetic reversal in the 8th century. The 8th century aligns perfectly with the date 713 BC, which, as you know, on my channel, I got a few videos just about that one date, showing that is the exact date, 713 BC, that the Near Eastern sky watchers were in trouble because they couldn't figure out for a 4-month period the moon was not behaving the way the moon was supposed to behave, and the sun had acted erratically, and a lightning bolt came from the sky, a clear sky, and vaporized 185,000 Assyrian soldiers and their army outside Jerusalem. Every culture in the world, even in the Americas, added 5 unlucky or 5 bad luck days to the calendar. And within 100 years, every calendar had 365 days. Within 500 years, they had modified that to 365.24 or 0.25 days a year. Velikovsky is absolutely correct in all of this, and in the historical citations. He's overwhelmed the field with proof of the date and what happened. It's just him trying to grasp how it happened. Okay. He came up with this Venus coming out of Jupiter deal, and maybe that's true, but that's a different event and it's a different time period.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jason. That was very helpful, and I'll watch that again because I'm going to need to think about what you said. But thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. So next we've got Rachel.
Hi.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello. A bit more, isn't it? There we go.
Sound all right? Still good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Back to the thing you've just been talking about, erratic behaviour of the moon. We've got that now. We're seeing movement of the moon turning like a clock. Following a guy, Catfish is his common name, who's showing us this turning, and thought it was a bit OTT. However, I've observed it for myself now. We're seeing the moon in odd positions. We've had clear skies for over a week now. There's been no sign of. I know we're coming to a new moon, but we would have expected to see it somewhere. And we have seen movement, which is, well, definitely irregular, we would say. Is this somebody trying to notify us of something going on? Is this something actually happening? The chap I followed is talking about electromagnetism coming in from behind, talking about 3 suns. Sort of some of the information he's putting out shows the NASA stuff on his screen. However, what he's showing us over the last 4 years, 5 years, I've seen it change a lot. And it just sounds like what you've just been saying about this electromagnetism coming from the rear and the moon moving. What
okay. So I can all I can offer is educated speculation.
Oh, yeah,
I can't give you any facts on any of this. My personal belief is the entire sky is simulated, and it's simulated, but it's obeying protocols, it's obeying rules that were programmed, just like all of history is programming. Yeah. Now, I can give you an idea though, because if this is one big vast sky simulation, then it's going to have to obey the physics dynamics of not one plane but 2.
Yeah.
So when you have a huge major object approaching our plane right now, but it's still at great distance, the greater the object, the more powerful it is, the more its effects will be slowly felt before it's even within visibility. I mean, think about in our own system, in the uniformitarian solar system that we've been given, when you look up at the sky, you can't see anything but Jupiter. You might see a small pinpoint for Saturn, but you can't see the 2 gas giants, Uranus and Neptune, and they're gigantic, but they're in our system, but you can't see them. They're just too far away. They don't even appear as stars. They're just too far away. So if something is coming from a totally different direction in the blackness of space, like the Cygnus Rift, you're never going to see it until it's already up on you. It's coming edgewise on another plane. It's not on our plane. We can see everything out laterally in a horizontal field of vision when we go outside and we look up, and we can see the whole ecliptic and everything moving on it. But you can't see an object coming from a plane at 60 degrees perpendicular to you. You're not going to see it until it gets very close to Sol. And by the time you see it, governments will already be shut down. They'll already be hiding in the underworld facilities. Yeah, by the time you can see it with the naked eye, it's going to be probably 40 days. There's like a 40-day countdown from the first visibility, and then the most catastrophic effects start about 7 days before transit. A transit is when an object passes between us and our plane, not between us and the sun. That's the uniformitarian model. We're talking about transplanar ecliptics here. We're talking about 2 planes intersecting and the worlds that they bring. We're on the Terra plane. You can call it Terran. We're in the Terra plane. I know a lot of people still want to believe they live on a planet. I'm never going to go by that model again, but I can still speak in those terms.
Yeah.
But as the Nemesis X plane follows the Phoenix plane, because they're coming back to back, we can expect all kinds of things. So we're going to have people doing some incredible things. Some people's cognition, their memory. When we're talking about planes, we're talking about energy fields. Energy fields contain information. Do not be surprised if people all over the world start remembering things that that are only possible because they did those things in the other field. And as that field begins to overlay with us, now their memory is being restored. Oh, I know what family I'm from. I know what dynasty I know exactly where a home is. But there's going to have to be a full immersion, tertiary field. There's going to have to be a full immersion of that information. And when we're immersed into it, personal identities, personal memories, all that stuff's going to return to people. It's going to be a totally different experience than most people think. A lot of people are going to lose their minds, and that's because they're already effed now anyway. They're not awake. They're just living a life as NPCs, and they believe everything that they're told. So, but those who are vibrating on higher frequencies do so because you're called. I don't want to get all religious and all that stuff, but I believe the oversoul has always known its own. And when people start waking up, it's because it has something to do exterior of us. I would love to be able to claim that Jason Brashears is as Jason Brashears that you perceive to be because of personal merit. I can't claim that, because much of my life has been guided by other forces, and I was just put into different situations, and things happen all around me, even in prison, so many times that I just can't claim. I just can't claim to make all these. I tell you guys all the time, information's in the field. I pull it out of the field all the time when I feel I need to convey it. I just resonate on the frequency of the information that's wanted with somebody who asks it of me. Therefore, it's not merit. So people all over the world, from this point forward, probably already started. From this point forward, moving all the way into 2039, people are going to start remembering things that they're going to know that's a part of them. And it's going to get stronger and stronger. People are going to assume new abilities. It's going to be whole latent DNA sequences are going to be reawakened. We don't quite know what to expect in a full tertiary immersion. We just don't. But we do know that there are people in this world that don't want you to know these things. We do know that some people are very aware of what happens during a tertiary field deal. So they know what side they're on, so they're betting down. But also, this is why I believe that we have a benefactor force here as well, because there's the apparatus of silencing those who are talking about these type of things. I mean, we can get real mystical. We can call it an ascension event. But the reason I've always avoided the mystical feels like ascension and all that is because they're not attaching it to anything. In the Archaics model, we know about the whole Nemesis X history. We know about the Phoenix phenomenon history. Now we understand what's really happening here. We're talking about planes intersecting. And when two planes intersect, the middle part is the tertiary. That's where all the magic happens. If one plane goes away, you're going to stay in the plane that you're vibrating with the most. If you're vibrating on a higher plane, and Nemesis X is a much higher plane than Terra plane is, then you're going to vanish. To those who are left behind on the Terra plane, you were raptured. To you were exodused into a whole other world. So, like I said, this is the realm of speculation. It's total speculation, but I don't went in so many. I entertained so many tangents. I don't even remember the original question.
Do you think the moon turning is to keep us awake and to give us a
yeah. So I think that that's just one side effect. I think that's one side effect of the approach of something very, very large. And we're probably going to see a whole lot of phenomena. I'm already expecting more volcanism, a lot more volcanoes, submarine volcanoes. Phoenix comes before Nemesis X. Phoenix begins in 2039 to 2040, followed by 2046, Nemesis X. So I'm thinking probably around 2035, 2036, we're going to start experiencing subsidence and upheavals. And these are the events that caused the Deccan traps in India. Thousands of feet of resurfacing, and we have no idea what civilizations are underneath it. This is when island civilizations like off the Welsh coast, off the coast of India, off the coast of Peru, just vanish, sink with thousands of people gone. These are like Lisbon, Portugal in 1755, which was a transcontinental earthquake felt almost the entire world over, but half of Lisbon, Portugal was sheared off and just went straight down and everybody with it. All the ships, all the people on the quay. But so I think with the approach of these two tertiary fields back to back like this, we're going to experience all kinds of lunar and solar anomalies, and they're going to be explained away. You've probably been listening to me recently, where I've been talking about this. They already have a perfect playbook, and it's extraterrestrial invasion. Extraterrestrial invasion answers for everything. All the Earth changes, return of the vapor canopy, humans remembering things that everything, every anomaly, every mystery that's unfolding in the world today is going to be explained away with the alien invasion. They're going to claim that from a distance, aliens are terraforming the Earth, and all the Earth changes and the ice caps and glacials, they're all melting, and new lands are appearing, and it's all because ETs are coming to invade. First, they got to terraform, which means they need a warm world. And all it is a natural cycle. It's the Phoenix phenomenon. It is the return of the vapor canopy. It always happens. It's a perfect cycle. So they're going to lie to us, though. They're going to lie to us about it.
Of course. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, you got a lot out of me out of one little old lunar question.
Thank you so much.
So, Jason, Mark's got a question now, Mark Dale, and he's asked me to ask it for him. I just want to check. Do you still want me to ask you a question? You're going to come up and ask it? Okay. Before I ask Mark's question, I just want to...
Do you want me to pick one? A preference?
We got time for both. I've got two questions from you, yeah. But I just want to let the audience know that Mark is the guy that couldn't make it last year. His dad wasn't well. And he was the guy who asked that fantastic question about the 3 groups of elites in Lichfield. Do you remember he talked about the first group of elites underground, the second group of elites that go underground and come back up after, and the third group of elites run the 3 Abrahamic religions that out of Iran. So Mark's the guy that asked that question, which I have heard reverberate around the community all year ever since he asked it. Ever since you replied, gave him the answer, it was fascinating. So I just wanted to preface his questions. Better move around to the middle a bit. So, I hope I do this justice, Mark. So Mark's question is, the mainstream narrative has the Black Death occurring from 1346 to 1353, which clearly overlaps the Phoenix year 1350, 1349 when effects start to hit. The mainstream end date of 1353 seems feasible if there are after effects from the final 1350 event. But the mainstream start date, 1346, is 3 years out from 1349. Do you think it's possible that Phoenix effects could actually be felt a few years in advance, which would match the mainstream date? Or do you think they fake the records to record it starting in 1346 to hide the Phoenix event?
Well, I have great respect for that question, because that took some thinking. And I have promoted the idea that the Phoenix phenomenon was going to begin the year before. So he got that right 3 years before 1346. But I think there was a lot more going on at that time. He is correct. 1350 was a Phoenix year. It's on the 138-year timeline. The actual Phoenix year is 1349 to 1350. So Phoenix in our timeline today, because remember, the apocalypse is a script. Phoenix in our timeline is the 6th seal, and it is preceded by the 4th seal. What is the 4th seal? It is a great plague. It's a great plague. What was the Great Black Death? It was the Great Black Death plague. When was it? It was before the Phoenix appeared in 1350. So we have not only do we have a perfect match for the sequence of events, but even the years between them. So the Black Death started 4 years before 1350. This parallels our 2036. 2036 AD will be the fourth seal, the breaking of the fourth seal. We have 4 years before 2040 is when that is, and 2040 is our sixth seal. So for those of you who are following me closely, you realized I did not mention the fifth seal. The fifth seal doesn't even apply to us. Anybody who has read the Apocalypse knows the fifth seal are events outside of the construct. What is being described is the Godhead talking to all of those souls who have been bereft of their avatars. So this is the fifth seal doesn't even include anybody who's in the world, in the terrasphere. So we jump from the fourth seal to the sixth seal, which is the great plague of the apocalypse, to the Phoenix event. So I mean, yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. As a matter of fact, 1350. Somebody else asked a question in that paper that you sent me. I can't remember now, but somebody else asked a question, and 1350 was the key date for the answer of their question too. I guess we'll get to it. I can't remember what the question was, but the year 1350 was the answer for that question too.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just check?
Let me just finish that one. Let me sum it up. If the apocalypse is a script, and if our history is cyclical, then your conclusion that the Great Black Death, which started in 1346 and went through the 1350 Phoenix event with 3 years trailing it, like the after effects, it's spot on. It's spot on. It seems like that you have isolated the script for what was going on right before, things started getting better in Europe. That was the very end of a previous European epic.
It's interesting.
Remember, that was 1/3 of the world's according to the historical narrative, 1/3 of the world's population died in that plague. And also remember, military historian William Brambley was very, very adamant that not uniformitarian, but the official narrative about rats coming from China and India, the Mediterranean spreading, does not answer for all the anomalies that were seen in the sky. Remember, the people of the time were recording that strange things were appearing in their sky, and they linked it to the plague. It was only centuries later that people were trying to say rats caused that plague.
Okay. So Mark's got another question. Can I just check? Has everyone got their phones off? Can you hear a phone ringing over there? Have you got your phones off over there, guys?
They're trying to.
Could you actually turn it off?
I'm trying to turn it off.
Yeah. It interferes with the live signal. So where we're at. Mark, was your second question. Okay, here we go. So you've often highlighted maps from the 15th and 16th century that show an ice-free Antarctica. Indeed, I knew these existed before I even heard of archaics, as many other channels commentators have also mentioned them. As we know, amongst other things, these maps can also show other islands in the Atlantic, no Great Lakes, and California as an island. Do you think it was the 1488 third magnitude or 1626 fourth magnitude Phoenix event that likely brought about the changes we see today, i.e. frozen poles, islands disappearing, the Great Lakes, California now attached to the mainland?
Did you say this is the same? This is Mark. Mark, he also asked this question?
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah, this dude, he's in tuned. This is the other question that's answered in 13.
I wish I could get him to come on the camera.
This is also.
No, he won't just do cameras.
Okay, well, hear me out. So I'm gonna answer as best I can. But I remember that this was the question that's also linked directly to the year 1350. So I like that. I like it because it satisfies one of the archaics research tenets. If something is true, you're going to see it from multiple different vantage points. So old maps, Allie, they're like the uniformitarian lie that stars are millions of light years away. So if you look at a photo of the starry sky, you are only looking at what it looked like a very long time ago. the heavens do not look like the way we see it now, because we're supposed to believe that light photons travel millions of years through space dust to get to us. So when you see a photograph of the sky, you're really looking at a photograph of what the sky looked like 2 million to 20 million years ago. Now, it's all BS to me, but that's the uniformitarian lie of a photo, of looking at a photo of the night sky. It's so dumb. I'm going to say it again. It's just so dumb. Now, 400- and 500-year-old maps that show Greenland with canals, that show Greenland ice-free with trees and forests, that show Greenland in two sections like it really is under the ice pack, Antarctica without ice. These 400- and 500-year-old maps with reptiles and creatures and canals, they are copies of older maps, older cartographic knowledge. Not much older. Not the Graham Hancock version of 400-year-old maps or copies of Ice Age maps. It's just dumb. That's so dumb. But the immense geographic changes that would have caused this huge shift in cartography, it could have only been 1350. If you go back to 1212, the Phoenix year in 1212, it's too early. If you go back to the next Phoenix year where all these massive changes happened was 1488, but it's too late. So the only Phoenix event that could have possibly answered for the massive geographical changes and the temperature during would have been 1350. 1350 would have been the year. But even chronologically, it's the year. Let me explain. So as I said, if something is true, you can see it from multiple different vantage points. So our guy here, Mark, has already isolated that 1350 is associated to the depopulation of the Great Black Death Plague. Good. That's a good data point. Proves nothing, though. But the second data point that starts to empower it is what I just explained right now about the old maps. The old maps, 1350, would answer for why all the sudden changes in the maps. But there's a third point, and it's strictly chronological. We know that the worst destruction, which started our calendar today, the Anno Domini calendar, was in the year 522. And it's the only year in all of world history, recorded history, and mathematically, when you go 10,000 years in the past and 10,000 years in the future, 522 AD is the only year that the Nemesis X object on its 792-year pattern and the Phoenix phenomenon and its 138-year pattern were here at the exact same time. And for the year 522, we have two giant sky dragons in the sky at the exact same time. It started the Dark Ages, but that was exactly 828 years to 1350 AD, which is in the exact middle of a 1656 year period to 2178, the total systemic reset, the whole collapse of the simulacrum, which is 828 years after 1350. So it seems that mathematically, calendrically, historically, 1350, cartographically, 1350 seems to be a destruction of our world for which we have almost no historical records. And it was covered up by historians in what they call the Great Black Death.
And this explains why in the maps from the late 1500s, early 1600s still have Tartaria on there, which is a reference to when they held the region for Genghis Khan. He defeated them. He was so impressed with their skills that he gave them that region to manage. They were warrior farmers, and so it remains as Tartaria on the maps in the 1600s as they were copied. But by that time, they were starting to move up north into what they called Old Rus, because they were being pushed up by the Ottoman Empire that came in. And they're still there in northern Russia. Sorry, I digress. But people often talk about this, why Tartaria is on the maps. And it's because they were copied from a time when they were a significant population living in that region.
Right. You know, I showed in a previous video that Tartaria first entered the historical record and was named in old books in the year 1212 AD. And that's exactly 138 years from 1350. It's and the Ottoman Empire, its very first ruler was Uthman the Tartarian.
So who we got next? Who have we got next, Si?
Steve.
Steve. Let me move out of the way a little bit. I'm too in the middle.
Cheers.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Hey.
Just stay right there, brother. I forgot. I'm still on 1350. Just a second. No, you stay right there. Stay right there. So I mentioned 2178. So 1350 is the epicenter. Going 828 years backwards is 522, which started the Anno Domini calendar, the calendar we're on today. 828 years into the future is total systemic reset. It's the eternal looping number, 2178. We've concentrated on a lot. We're back to Genesis. So the official, this is where Mark's questioning. Here's where we find the value. What started directly after the 1350 Phoenix event? In the historical record, you can Google it. You will find out. If you Google when did the Renaissance start, the date the internet's going to give you is 1350. It's going to tell you 1350 is when. So it was after a depopulation, after a phoenix harvest, and the world was substantially changed. All of a sudden, Italy, Genoa, France, and Spain had this Renaissance, followed by the Northern Renaissance later on in the 1500s, all the way to 1650. So and another data point, my last data point about 1350 is this. There's a book, I can't remember this guy. I've talked about him on my channel. 1421 and 1423. Those are the titles of his two books, and it's all about massive Chinese fleets that map the world. Do you know that we have a Chinese map that shows California as an island? And yet the only time in the historical record that the Chinese ever sent fleets out to map the world was 1421. So here is a 1421 to 1423 is when these fleets were sent out. So they could be copies of older maps. There's no doubt. But this is absolute. This right here is absolute proof that we're not dealing with 1488, which is the next one after 1350. We're not dealing with 1488 as being the year. It's too late. Well, the major geographical changes must have been earlier. So that's my last data point on that, and we can leave Mark alone. Tell Mark to be quiet the rest of the.
We're so glad he made it this year. So, do you want your question from here? Can you remember it?
No, I can remember it. Okay. So yeah, hi Jess. So yeah, my question was the one about Comins Beaumont and what he wrote about the history of Britain and how he took various places from history that were put in geographically different parts of the world, such as probably the most surprising ones, things like Edinburgh being the original Jerusalem, or York being Babylon. I think Lincoln was Antioch, and things such as that. So what are your thoughts based on your own research? Could geographically do these things make more sense the way he's explaining, or can it be easily explained where they are now?
Okay, so Comins Beaumont, he has this idea, which is correct, same as Immanuel Velikovsky, that there was a major cataclysm around 1350 BC. So I believe his date was 1320, something like that, BC, around there. But Comins Beaumont believes a comet impact in Britain, UK. I remember vaguely he thought there's a pole shift at that time. Now, the fact that Beaumont provides so much information on floods and earthquakes and cosmic lightning, which are the flux tube phenomenon, the same stuff that happened in 713 BC, which vaporized 185,000 Assyrians in their armor. The flux tubes are the same thing that are recorded in 1229 BC that ended the Hittite Empire. The guys, I don't really trespass into their field of research, but all these guys that are in the meltology research, what they're looking at, this architecture that's been melted, these are flux tube discharges. This flux tube has actually been filmed by us. We caught one on camera in 1994 when Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 exploded into 21 different pieces, and each piece started slamming into Jupiter. What caused it to explode was a flux tube discharge. It was electricity bouncing back and forth between the comet and the surface of Jupiter. Now, this is all in the uniformitarian model, but this is the information that NASA has given us. And they photographed this lightning bolt, blue lightning bolt, that left Jupiter and blew the comet up into 21 pieces. So this flux tube discharge is what melted several Hittite fortifications in 1229 BC. At the exact same time, in Scotland, several fortresses in Scotland and megalithic circles were all vitrified as well with these flux tube blasts. 713, 1229, 1899 BC, and 2239 BC are the 4 dates that I know of that in the historical record we have lightning bolts coming from the sky and destroying human fortifications. Now, what's interesting to me is that this is something that acts with intelligence, because why are you only hitting human fortifications? So instead of just hitting the side of the hill or hitting just random places, it's always these fortresses that get hit. But anyway, I digress. Commons Beaumont is right about the cataclysm. Again, with Emmanuel Velikovsky, he's going to be wrong about how it happened. He is focused, he is tightly focused everything on ancient Britain, the Emerald Isles, Albion, and all that. And this is where I think Mr. Beaumont has failed in his research. And let me explain why. He believes everything from the Great Flood, the Noachian Flood, all this is centered around England. So before you get upset with me, hear me out. Hear me out. So, okay. So archaeology and site continuity. You understand what site continuity is? It's when it can be shown that a certain culture has been at a certain place for a long period of time based off archaeological findings. So this geography swap that Beaumont claims, the problem is Jerusalem has continuous occupation layers, even to the megalithic. Yeah, the megalithic. That's what's crazy about Jerusalem. The greatest, most impressive architectures deep in the ground, massive megalithic blocks, just like Jericho. So temples and inscriptions in Hebrew and Canaanite, the artifacts from the Bronze Age, and you have to understand, we're talking about what's been found is Minoan Linear A, Minoan Linear B era artifacts. We're not talking about just one period of time. The Bronze Age went through many phases, pre and post cataclysm. But that area of the world, the Levant, it is packed. We have the Mari tablets, thousands of tablets, the Ugaritic tablets of Ras Shamra, which mention Abiram and mention many biblical characters, the Hittite tablets, the Amarna records about the invading Habiri, where they were crying to Pharaoh for help against the Amalekites and the invaders. So that the ancient Welsh, the British, the Scots, the Irish, they have so many traditions and memories that seem to match the Old Testament narratives. It's not because those events happened in the UK. That's where I think Beaumont got it wrong. It's because the descendants of the people mentioned in the Bible, the ancient Israelites, they relocated over millennia to Cornwall, to Scotland, to Wales, to England, to Ireland. Over 150 years ago, it was common knowledge all throughout England. It was preached in the churches. But it became, the liberal historians pretty much quashed the whole movement. But it was understood that British Israelitism is a thing. The Irish were descended from the Danu, the Danan, and the Welsh were descended from different. I mean, you have to read like E. Raymond DeCat and Frederick Haberman. I have these books in my library, and it shows coming out of Assyria, passing Trans-Caucasus, Transvaal, how each individual people eventually ended up as far west as they could possibly go before crossing over the Atlantic. And there's some authors that are extreme. William Dankenbrink, his research is very compelling. I think Commons Beaumont got it backward. It wasn't that these events happened in the UK. It's that the people who are now the flesh and blood of the UK in all its variant cultures, from Northern England to Southern England, all of Cornwall, all of Wales, all of Scotland, all of England, I mean, Ireland, these are the blood of ancient Israelites. And this is even found in some Jewish literature, as I've published in my Chronicon. This hasn't been a secret. So Beaumont, his revisionist history, it kind of requires you to undo the histories of many different nations, again, offending Occam's razor. So we have too many verifiable finds all throughout the Near East, especially concerning Bit Omri. Bit Omri was the house of Israel. Where a lot of people get confused is they think Jews are Israelites. They're not at all. As a matter of fact, after 931, after the Great Civil War, 931 BC, the first 3 physical conflicts that the Israelites had was with Jews. It's in Judah. It's in the Old Testament. It's for everybody to read. The first 3 wars Israel had when it became independent, the 2 kingdoms, and it basically it seceded. 10 tribes went to war with the Jews. So they were always at their fundaments a totally different culture and a totally different people. The Israelites of Bet Omri, the 10 tribes, they had a holy city. The holy city is mentioned hundreds of times in Canaanite cuneiform text. It is called Kadesh. Kadesh is literally on the old maps. It's called the holy city. But the Jews wanted all offerings, and they wanted people to bring their herds, and they wanted to bring to their city. Their capital city was Jerusalem, or Jerusalem in the old text. But they wanted to divert all those finances and all that wealth, but the 10 tribes weren't trying to hear it, and they remained independent until the days when Assyria took them into captivity in 745 in 721 BC. This is not a historical fantasy. Israelite names are found everywhere in the Assyrian Limu list, in the Assyrian horse lists. Those are Israelite names, not Jewish, because the Assyrians realized that the Israelites were horse masters. So they created a whole new class called the equestrian class, and this is where Israel thrived in captivity. Later, the equestrian class rebelled against Assyria. Later on, in about 100 years later, in the 600s BC, and they became the Cossacks, the Russian steppes, and the Scythians, the Sixth, the predecessors of the Scots. And they started moving. I don't have all the details. I record them in Chronicon, but you should really read Frederick Haberman, Tracing Our Ancestors, and other related writers, and they will show the actual migration of the tribes, actual Jewish writings, Jewish encyclopedias, and Jewish texts where they admit that they know who the Europeans truly are. And this is why they hate them so much. This is why internationally the Jews are attacking all Israelite descended institutions. But yeah, the place names, these place names, they're called toponyms. And this is where Beaumont got it wrong too, man. They're frequently transferred by migrating and colonizing groups. I've given you guys many examples like Thebes, the 100-gated Thebes of ancient Egypt. Yeah, it became 7-gated Thebes in Greece. When people move from location to location, they take what's important to them. So they took Thebes. Now, our liberal historians are going to gaslight you and say it's a coincidence. When you Google it, you'll find out it's a coincidence. Oh, it's a coincidence that one of the most important Greek cities was called Thebes. Why is it a coincidence? Cecrops. What's the other guy's name? Cadmus. Cecrops and Cadmus both left with giant fleets and arrived in ancient Greece. One of those captains came straight from Egypt, Cecrops did, with a whole fleet, and settled in Boeotia, in the Peloponnesus, in Achaia, and founded ancient Athens, while the other one founded Thebes. So it's not a coincidence. It's in the traditional and historical record that there was a mass migration of Caucasians from Egypt and they founded Greece. So the reason I say liberal historians is because they don't want you to know that ancient Egypt was cosmopolitan. There was a massive population of Caucasians in Egypt in every single time period of ancient Egypt. That's crazy. I mean, even Cleopatra, the last ruler of Egypt, was white. You're going to get gaslit everywhere you look. So Commons Beaumont, his research is fascinating. Catastrophism is awesome. He nailed the uniformitarians to the wall. Commons Beaumont did all that. But York in England, when a lot of people from England came to the United States, the 13 colonies during the colonial periods, yeah, man, at first it was New Amsterdam, but that means there's an old Amsterdam. Then it was called New York, but we know why it was called New York, because original York is right there in England. Just like when the Greeks of Sicily left Messina, they took the name Messina to them to the Peloponnesus. Excuse me, when the Greeks of the Peloponnesus went to Sicily, they took the capital name Messina. Boston, Massachusetts, named after Boston, Lincolnshire, England. Plymouth, Massachusetts. Plymouth Rock, the Pilgrims, the 1620, the Pilgrims come to the North America. All these places come from London. So follow my reasoning here. New England implies there's an older England. New Jersey implies there's an Isle of Jersey somewhere. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We already know where Lancaster is in England. We have so many Birminghams, Oxfords, Cambridges, Manchesters right here in the United States of America. So my point is this: you have Wales, you have New South Wales. So my point is this: if we go by Commons Beaumont's reasoning, then everything that happened in the Bible could have happened in North America. If we're just going to use toponyms as evidence that something happened somewhere, we're going to have a problem with that. You're going to run into all kinds of issues because it causes you to practice exclusions. Now you're going to have to ignore all the regnal lists, all the cuneiform libraries that have been found at Rashemra, that have been found at Mari, that have been found at Nineveh, that have been found at Amarna. We're going to have to ignore all that. All the steels, all the Egyptian accounts, the records, everything that we find in Strabo, in Pliny, we're going to have to ignore everything just to accept Commons Beaumont's theory. So, I mean, I think I'm done with. If there's anything else about Commons Beaumont, but I mean, I like reading him because he's anti-uniformitarian, but I just think he invested too much energy trying to prove. He tried to connect dots where they're not connected. And let me explain real quick before we finish with Commons. It is an absolute archaeological fact that in the 15th, 14th, 13th, 11th, 12th, all the way down to the 7th century BC, we're talking about 27 centuries to 32 centuries ago. It's an absolute fact that there was a civilization in Britain and in Ireland that was building megalithic infrastructure. They had streets, they had causeways, beautiful gardens. Everything was highly manicured. It was like more recent China. You're gonna laugh at my Central East Texas shit, Feng Shui, or however you say it, whatever that Chinese, the art of sculpting the land. So yeah, there is no doubt the Druid colleges. There is no doubt that there was a massive, very, very advanced, very intelligent culture that was in the British Isles all the way to Ireland at that time period. There's no doubt. Commons Beaumont is literally trying to link that civilization with the civilization of the Bible, and I don't see it. I don't see it. He's, like I said, you have to practice too many exclusions. You have to ignore so much out there in order to entertain this idea. When the simplest of all explanations is that the people of the UK today are racially and by blood descended from the 10 tribes of Israel, rather than all the events their descendants went through actually happened there. Now, people take their customs, their traditions, and their toponyms with them everywhere they go.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Thank you.
Turn up.
All right. That's ready. So, put Sally next. So you need your question.
No, I think I know.
You're okay.
Hi, Jason.
How are you doing?
Oh, good to meet you. And I have to say thank you for the last 5 years. And thank you for enriching my life in those last 5 years. I've got 2 questions, and they are both on the subject of consciousness and awakening. The first, I know you've talked about the asylums in the early part of last century, but is there any evidence from previous Phoenix events and these tertiary fields that humans have had a sort of mind change?
Directly linking that to Phoenix or Nemesis, I can't recall. I would have to actually go through the whole timeline and look at. I'd have to go through each one to see any evidence of that. I'd have to go through each event and see.
Okay.
Yeah. All we have is like the Greek, like all we have is the mythological record now. Now we're switching over from historical record to the mythological record. In the mythological record, yeah, we have myths and traditions. Like Phoenix is the Typhon. So we have every time Typhon appears, it seems like the common man doesn't fear anything, but the rulers of the world all go hide in the caves of the earth. They go to Egypt. For some reason, Egypt comes up over and over and over for the wicked to go hide at. We have Tobit, I believe it's in the Apocrypha, I think it's in the book of Tobit. I can't remember. It's about the demon Asmodeus, and I can't remember which apocryphal book is about the demons that flee to Egypt instead of being exorcised out of a body. They flee to Egypt. And the ancient Greeks said that every time Typhon appeared, it was the gods themselves, the rulers over humanity, that fled. And every time they fled, they went to Egypt until the Typhon was over, the Phoenix phenomenon, until the Phoenix phenomenon was over with. But it was during the Typhon events that ordinary humans had the same power as the gods. This might have been why they were scared. They had to go hide and bed down and go in the underworld. I don't know, but Typhon seems to have empowered a red-headed race of people, and this is why the Egyptians hated them. They called them Typhonians, and anytime they could capture them, they would sacrifice them. And because they believed that human sacrifice of a red-headed individual would stop Typhon from exercising power over their country. But these are old traditions, and they're all linked to the Phoenix and how the Phoenix empowered some people while it invoked fear in others.
Can I just read the question I got written here, because it's slightly nuanced. That by all accounts, we're going through an awakening now, and is there historical evidence of this taking place prior to other Phoenix events? And I wonder, are you meaning that towards the end of every 138 years we get more awake, and this is the reason why the protocols have to be set 138 years, because anything less than that and we'll figure it out, or longer? Is that kind of what?
Well, it is, but I mean, you've kind of in a way.
Just like
I mean, I don't know. We don't tend to have those type of things really recorded in the historical record. They're not chronological. They're not king lists. They're not strange phenomena.
Yeah.
It's all. But also we have a problem with those small little particulars like that. We can only go back so far anyway, because the printing press. Remember, I've told you about the printing press. It comes out in the 1400s, 1440. Coster of Harlem invented it, but he didn't have the money. So Gutenberg ended up becoming famous for it. And it was just the exact opposite of what we've been told. We've been told the printing press opened up the world to books and all that, but it was actually censorship. They got to choose which books were going to be printed, which was Talmuds, Torahs, and Bibles, and municipal records for different cities and governments and all that. And they did that for like 150 years before they actually started printing historical books and all this. So it was a massive time of censorship. Until that time, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of books, but they're all handwritten, like the Voynich manuscript. They were all handwritten, but they didn't get printed. So they just, after 300-400 years, books are gone. Moths eat them. They're just gone. So I don't know. That's a good question. But I also have to say this. If these tertiary fields are truly what I tell you they are, and that these are also Exodus nodes, then who's going to be left that was awakened to even tell the story?
Yeah. Hmm.
Who's
Okay.
going to be here?
Oh, sorry.
It's during tertiary events, we've already documented that all these Exodus narratives are attached to the Nemesis X and Phoenix events. So if the truly awakened are the ones that are leaving, are gone, then those who are left behind are always going to tell a different version of the story.
Hmm.
Remember what I told you about the Phoenix event of 660 AD? How the Japanese were perplexed? Half of the population was unaffected by the Phoenix phenomenon. The other half were doing absolutely strange things. People were carrying their possessions, but when they were asked, they didn't know where they were going or why they were carrying these possessions. They saw apparitions. They heard voices that weren't even there. They saw flaming horses going through the streets. Some of them claimed that there was earthquakes and there was volcanic activity in Japan, while half the population thought that half was crazy. There was nothing going on. It was one of the most bizarre events of Japanese history, but it's very well recorded, as I've showed you recently. It's 660 AD. Half the population went nuts. The other half of the population didn't think anything was even happening and thought they were crazy.
Okay, well, my second question is related to the video that you did where you put up your own timeline and your prison timeline. And it's kind of like a case study, as I can see, of, you know, one man's journey. And what I'm interested in, and this comes back to what I kind of believe, that we are all born here with a wiped memory, and it's our duty or it's our mission to wake up to the dual nature of our individual reality, the avatar and the soul. And at one point in your narrative of your prison, there was a line where you said to God, this is what you wanted. Well, I'm wondering, were you awake at that time? Were you conscious? Or was that a Christian praying to God? And if you were conscious, then is that reflected in the numbers? And I'm kind of interested to know that if a person wakes up truly, then how does that affect their individual timelines?
Okay, well, I'm gonna clarify something. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on your concept of waking up, because I believe I believe the oversoul is far bigger than any package that we can present the oversoul with. If being awakened, I can talk to a Muslim and he may still believe that God is actually named Allah. He may still believe that the Quran is the word of Allah instead of written by a bunch of Catholics, 13 centuries ago. So now, I believe the oversoul, being so far removed from any current frames of reference, that talking to this Muslim guy who's very, very spiritual, his spirituality has been pre-packaged for him, but he's thinking outside the box. He's awake. Now this leads to another revelation, which means that there must be degrees of being awake. There must be, higher frequencies of being awake. So I just wanted to clarify that, because yes, even back then, I was still Southern Baptist Christian, but it wasn't a single day that I decided not to be a Southern Baptist Christian. It was a transitive period. And like I've explained to you guys in the past, when I realized that I have researched my way right out of Christianity, it was a process. And it was me coming into contact with things that I cannot dismiss. You guys know it's my pet peeve. I do not like when people practice exclusions. It's like it's my main pet peeve with Graham Hancock, because the only reason you can ever promote what he promotes is by ignoring a wealth of provable information. So I'm just gonna have to say that I was waking up. I was already a spiritual. Even as a Christian, I was a very spiritual individual. But I was waking up to the lie that everything, my spirituality had been prepackaged for me, but I was bigger than that package. It just took a while for me to transcend that package and finally give it up and move forward. So that's what happened to me. It was a period, but when I did that, what you're describing, I think I was really awake by then. I remember that event. I remember waking up and thinking, "What the hell am I doing, man? I got a pen and paper out." I said, "This is what's going to happen." I started dictating my life rather than asking God for anything.
Okay. I think that's it for me.
All right.
Thank you.
Just a bit worried about this wire.
Okay.
It's okay. Can't figure out if it's my PC, but you look quite in the dark, Jason. Does it look dark from the back there? So it's
You can't see me.
just on my laptop, because if I look to screen, I obviously look to the side.
It is dark. So it is dark in here. When I started, the sun was coming through the windows, but it is.
You usually have more light in front of you, sort of reflecting back to your face. So,
Ali, did you just now figure out I'm not in my studio? Yeah, I'm good.
Who we got next? Jackie. These wires are bothering me. Let's move this chair. That wire pulls, so we're out of here. So just got to watch that one there. We're right stretched to the limit on this wire that connects the HDMI. So got to keep an eye on it.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing?
Can I just say it's a great honor and privilege to talk to such a master in his own field.
Oh, you make me blush.
No, and thank you for waking up and still awakening us all up so much. I'm very grateful. But I did want to just ask you, there's only one real certainty in life is that we die or we leave. I don't think we die. Our soul leaves the planet. And I was just wondering, the sad time when it comes for you to leave, if the great master or the creator decides that, no, it was a blip, you have to go back down. Who would you come back as, and how would you help awaken us? What power would it be that you'd like to choose to bring with you to help awaken us? But we weren't to know what power you had. It would just be between you and the creator.
That's a lot to unpack there. I don't know. If I was to go before, whenever I go, I'm ready. I mean, I've told those closest to me that, you know, I'm already at the point where I feel that if I was to go tomorrow, then I'm going to pass through to the other side, and with the full confidence of knowing that I've already done what I came to do. And it's because I have this faith that the oversoul is absolutely in control of his own. And although the collective programming and the dungeon programming seems to ensnare countless millions of souls that are not prepared, they're not ready to wake up, they're very fine with they're like the architect told Neo, we built for you a perfect paradise, but you rejected it. So we've built this slave world and you thrive. And they love it. So they stay here and they loop back over and over. And then those of us who wake up from that and we realize, damn, man, I'm more than I suppose I set myself to be. Therefore, I must be heading somewhere. There's no way that I could conclude all the things that I've concluded in Archaics and still think that this world is a final destination. So if it's not a final destination, and I know that I'm still growing and I have great capacity to continue to grow, then this must be a stepping stone. So it kind of makes me excited to begin the next journey. But I don't want to begin the next journey until I've experienced everything I can or I'm supposed to here. If I was to pass now, I would be satisfied about moving on. But if I was asked to come back, I would definitely do it. So I could ride out 2040, 2046, and 2070. I'm really curious about 2070. I'm soon to do a video about it. But yeah, I would definitely come back, but I would come back. I mean, I would be a teenager If I was to go now, I would be a teenager in between 2040 and 2046. You don't think I wouldn't sign up? Hell yeah, I'd sign up for that. In a minute, I'm coming back. I'm going to ride it all the way out to 2106. I think somebody asked a question about 2106. I think it was on your paperwork. But yeah, I mean, I don't death has no power over me anymore. You can't live in fear. You just can't live in fear of anything. Life is too fulfilling to sit here and worry about, any of that. Because if I was to fear death in any way, it literally means that there's a lack of trust between me and the oversoul, and I can't live my life like that.
Yeah. Great answer. And I wanted to also ask you, have you ever studied or would you ever consider looking at any of Rudolf Steiner's work and giving us your perception?
You totally set me up. You totally set me up with that question. Rudolf Steiner. There's always going to be somebody asking me about Rudolf Steiner. Listen.
All right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Rudolf Steiner was all about, he emphasized free will. That's a check. I agree. Independent thinking. That's a check. I agree. I do have a disagreement with his model, but then again, it's such a transient point. I believe we have an avatar. I believe we have the informed field as a part of your immortal self. It's who you are. I believe that the avatar is connected to the construct. Where Steiner and I disagree with is his model has you have a physical body. He and I agree. I call it the avatar, but he and I agree there. You have an astral body. That's your immortal within. That's who you are. Where we deviate is he has separated the etheric body from the astral body, and I don't know why that was necessary. To me, it's very simple. It seems he's introduced a complication. It's no big deal, but he's got an etheric body which is different from an astral body, and then the fourth classification is the ego. So now the immortal within has been separated between an etheric body, an astral body, and an ego. These are three separate classifications on Steiner. So he believes that the human experience is all four: the body, the ego, the I self, the ego self, the personality, then the etheric body, then the astral body. I think he overcomplicated it, but it's no big deal. But I just feel that way. But reincarnation and karma, yeah. Rudolf Steiner and I are going to agree about that. His Steiner's core message, humanity is evolving spiritually. Yeah, absolutely. We are going to agree on that. Where we're going to disagree is that he believes that Earth is a part of that spiritual evolvement. I'm not going to go there because this is a program. And the construct has always been fixed protocols. Humans grow inside the construct, but the construct doesn't get any better. This construct is evil. It is predator versus prey. It has always consumed itself to maintain its substance. And that's even the creatures inside of it are forced to consume each other. Now, so it's another disagreement between Steiner and I.
Okay.
That's all. But it's not a big deal. Now, his spiritual teachings, yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you now, Steiner and I could have drank a beer together. We agree on so much. We do. His agrarian, his gardening sciences and all that, I've gone into them a little bit. Other people educated me about Steiner more than I've actually read Steiner. And I'm gonna say I agree with some of that. It's pretty good stuff. But his was hands-on experience. He literally lived out a bunch of his projects. But where we're gonna disagree, I'm a chronologist. I'm going to stick to the mathematical, chronological, and historical facts. And when it comes to his version of Atlantis and his version of Lemuria, it differs at none at all with Helena Blavatsky, with En Passant, the Theosophical Society, the Golden Dawn. I mean, all of that chronology can be thrown out the window because they did not take into consideration that there was a massive reset. And on the other side of that reset, chronologists forgot how to calculate and factor the yugas. And they literally thought the yugas were hundreds of thousands of years when they were just Sumerian day count systems called ners. And all the yugas are divisible by 216,000 days. Like the Kali Yuga, 432,000 days, not 432,000 years. So the day count system, misunderstanding the day count system and misunderstanding the Egyptian lunar count system has completely effed off all of these societies and all these Graham Hancock version history deals. So he and I are going to do, but that doesn't have anything to do with his spiritual material. He was literally copying the mistakes of his predecessors. So,
but do you agree then that, because you say that all your findings come from many different advantage points, that you can prove your findings, that Steiner's was coming from a raw sort of clairvoyance channeling? Do you agree that that is as honest and as truthful as it can be from a different perspective of yours?
I believe. Okay, well, now we're getting into the personal. So I don't care if it's tea leaves, if it's Ouija boards. I don't care if it's astrology, any type of divination. If it's dice, listen, it's always the man, never the method. This is why we have different practitioners that are better than others. Some is just really good. So the problem with this scenario, Atlantis and Lemuria, is that Steiner went on record in his published books claiming Lemuria was hundreds of thousands of years ago and Atlantis was in the Ice Age. It's the exact same thing Helena Blavatsky and Graham Hancock go by. And yet, as I've shown in Archaics, I have overwhelmingly, with so many historical source materials, overturned that. And those mistakes were simply a misunderstanding of the day count system. That's how Helena Blavatsky made that mistake. It was not understanding the original Shar dating system that all these cultures originally went by. So if he says clairvoyance was how he got his information, and that Lemuria and was hundreds of thousands of years ago, and that Atlantis was in the Ice Age, and he got that by clairvoyance, then yeah, there's something really wrong here. Very wrong.
Great. Thank you. I think you're great, Jason. Thank you very much. And thanks for your time.
You're very welcome.
Hey, next is Matt.
Okay. As Matt's sitting down, I just remembered something. There is one thing that I was very impressed with Steiner about. Almost no one gets Egyptian history correct. Almost no one nails it correct. They always want to default to the 3100 BC or the old Egyptian long chronology. I don't remember how Steiner did it, but Steiner concluded that Egyptian history only goes back to 2900 BC and then ends in foreign occupations in the 7th century BC. And he absolutely nailed it. Even the Great Pyramid was begun 2905 BC. He absolutely nailed it. But I can't remember how he got that because it was so different than Helena Blavatsky. But anyway, I just wanted to comment that.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's good to speak to you. I've just got a question about the Dark Ages. If you say that the Dark Ages were a vapor canopy, is there anything in the historical record about what happened at the end of the Dark Ages to all the?
Well, actually, yes. I only think it lasted for about 276 years, which is a long time. I mean, I'm only 52 years old, so 276 years is a very long time. But this would have put us at 798 AD. And that's almost the exact date that the Mayan culture vanished. And we're talking about a whole bunch of Mayan cities, and the entire culture just vanishes. And it's never been historically answered what happened to those people, why all of a sudden they abandoned their cities and let the jungle just take them over. It's never been satisfactorily explained. But all the Mayan steel stopped, the Mayan pyramid building. I mean, we're talking about the Maya were metropolises. You've seen some of the LiDAR readings showing the Mayan cities under the jungle. Yeah, some of these are like 50 and 60 square miles of nothing but infrastructure. And so, yeah. But other than that, no, we don't have much. We don't have. That's why historians call it the Dark Ages. We have literally almost no history. Everything of Dark Age provenance was actually written by Christian monks in the 10, 11, and 1200s. That's the problem. That's why it's called the Dark Ages. Every bit of information we got from that period comes through the filters of men writing centuries later.
Okay. I did have another question. It was something that I heard you say in one of your predictions videos. Now I may have misremembered it. I've watched a lot of videos. So it was something about there was another sort of 9/11 type event, but was to do with like a large stadium full of people. Now, I don't know whether I'd misremembered that, but I was just thinking, obviously the World Cup is coming up this year, and do you think anything may happen?
Okay, so I vaguely remember that was a quatrain in Nostradamus. So
right, okay.
I'm gonna look it up for you right now. I just now opened my file. I keep Chronicon on my desktop. I'm going to go to 2027 for Chronicon. I believe that's coming up as far as Nostradamus, and the date was actually derived from the date index of Mario Reading. Let me see.
It's not that.
Yeah, the Chronicon version I have here goes all the way to 2106.
All right.
Okay, so now 2018. So we don't have anything for 2017, but in 2018 we got, according to Nostradamus, in the year 2018 we have a massive Muslim invasion of France. Let's see, both land and sea. Marseille. Oh no, I'm in 2018. I'm way off. I'm way off. That's a quatrain from Oliver. What's that? Who is that? That's another Nostradamus interpreter. I'm gonna quit reading him. Let's see. All right. No, I don't have. You know what? It's probably in the notes. It's not in Chronicon. It's probably going to be in the notes, which I don't have time to go through. But I do remember that. I do remember that for 2027, Lord Coliseum. Damn, I can't remember where those were. Do you remember what video we talked about that?
No, it was a while ago. It was at least a year ago, maybe.
I remember it being in Mario Reading's data index. Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna. Chronicon's too big. It's over 1,000 pages. I'm never gonna find that. So, 20. What wasn't it? Am I correct? Does your memory serve you correct that it was 2027, or was it 2028?
I don't remember. I just thought, with the World Cup coming up, everyone's eyes are on that, that kind of tournament, and I don't know. It was one of those things that sort of just popped into my head, and I was trying to connect these two things and hoping that it wasn't, connecting.
I don't remember anything unusual in the Olympics happening in 1970. That would have been the isometric year for that. I can't remember. I haven't really looked at 1970. I've been so busy. I haven't even checked it out for the Olympics. Well, but yeah, there is a Nostradamus quatrain about the last days, and that a Colosseum is full of people, and that a major earthquake is going to happen, and the Colosseum is going to fold in on all the people that are participating. Okay. Which is really interesting. The reason it's interesting is because Colosseums didn't exist in Nostradamus's day. The Roman Colosseum was already in ruins and wasn't used anymore. So he didn't just predict that a Colosseum was going to full of people was going to get effed off. He had that prediction basically necessitates the return of coliseums, which we know of as superdomes.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, man.
No worries.
That's quite interesting that while you were opening something else on your computer, sorry, it's up. Your visual screen went all kind of blurry, and that's exactly the same experience we have in in streaming in underground. When someone comes in and they don't switch off the background apps underground and everything, and same in reverse. Just now you opened something else. My site's okay, but it went all blurry. I don't know.
I think it's his internet or his Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, but it would happen when he opens something, and we have the same in underground. People come in if they don't shut things down.
It's loading more data down his connection.
Yeah.
Reducing the bandwidth for the video.
But it's fine now. It's fine now. You've stopped. So now we've got Wayne in the most fabulous bowler hat.
Oh man, that is a badass hat. Yeah, man.
Hats off to you, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Just watch this wire here.
Okay.
That goes with toast.
Yeah.
That one there.
Well, it's great to finally meet you, Jason. I've been following your material for the last 3 years. The question I've got for you today, and it's interesting because this question, you've partially answered this question in the last week since I've sent the question across to you. I think it was Dr. Juan Farfar, who's also from England. He asked you the question of, were the tiny hats programmed with the creation of the races back to Enki and Enlil to literally be this opposing force to the civilization builders, the Caucasian civilization builders that come in later? So he answered part of the question. My question, in essence, is what we are seeing in the world today with the orchestrated destruction of the Western world, does it originate from the Enki and Enlil creation of the races?
Man, that's a good one. So let me process that for a minute with some facts. It's an absolute fact. It's an absolute fact that the moral and ethical fabric of the Jewish people isn't like any other culture in the world. Their morals and ethics do not come from God. They come directly from a book, the Talmud. The reason I'm telling you, the reason I can claim this is because Jewish people can literally believe themselves absolutely innocent of doing some of the most heinous crimes in the world simply because this book gives them justification. This book says they can do this. So there's no other culture in the world that acts and it's a disconnect. The reason I'm mentioning it is because to me it's pure programming. Because if somebody was to do, you and I have a conscience. We have a conscience, and we do something effed up to somebody else, man, we feel bad about it. It's like, damn, man, I feel bad about it. But these people exult in screwing over other people, but they don't regard them as other people because their book tells them they're the chosen ones, and their book tells them that you can do anything you want to the cattle of the world. And then it identifies the cattle of the world as being everything that's not Jewish. So they can justify all these things, even to little kids. They can do whatever they want to do. And they can go before a Jewish court and they can vindicate themselves. Yeah, according to Talmud, Sanhedrin, Joshua and Targum, such and such, this is what it says. And the Jewish court says, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And then no matter what they did to this individual over here, they are guiltless. This is programming. This isn't consciousness. This isn't spirituality. This isn't even religion. This is programming. These are AIX little minions that are following a playbook. And a part of their playbook is the collapse of Western civilization. But we call it Western civilization. Remember in my earlier presentations, I was explaining to you that back in the 3rd and 2nd millennium BC, the Westerners were called the Amuru. They were Caucasians. And when they went into the Near East, they took it over and occupied with almost out of battle. They were more intelligent. They were smarter. They had vast amounts of knowledge. They had a mariner. They had this huge mariner operation already set up. And they literally went in there and took over Babylon and Nineveh. And they set up some puppets like Hammurabi. Hammurabi of the 5th dynasty of Babylon. He was named Hammurabi. His earlier name was Amraphel, and Naram Sin. But they had named him Hammurabi, which was an Amorite title. And the Amorites were the Amuru. And they had come in and taken all this. They've been hated ever since. At that time in Babylon, there was a ruling priesthood, and these are the ancestors of what later became the Jewish people. But we're going all the way back to Igigi and Anuna. These are two separate factions from the same source. They hated each other. I would like to think it goes back all the way to that, but I just don't know. It's it could be that the Igigi were wiped out in the flood, and this is just two different factions of Anuna. I don't really know. I don't want to just say yes.
Yeah.
Just you know what I mean? I just don't want to say yes. It's the Igigi were later became watchers. Those who appoint and see. Yeah, they were accused of all kinds of vile things and mixing and hybridization and all this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they were Jewish. They have the same traits, but I don't know if we can just trace it all the way back. But we can trace a lot of this back between like the Typhonians and their enemies, like ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt couldn't stand the Typhonians, but the Typhonians was just another word. It was a derogatory term by the Egyptians, just like Hyksos. Hyksos was derogatory for Caucasians. The Amalekites, they didn't like them, and they were Amuru. They didn't like the Typhonians because they were Amuru. But in their own traditions, they highly regarded Shemsu Hor without even realizing Shemsu Hor is just another description of white people, shining ones. They were shining to a dark-skinned people. You were Shemsu Hor. So it seems like the entire history of the world is pretty much racial. There's no doubt about it. But when it comes to these tiny hats, there's no other culture, there's no other people in the world that are so nefarious, and yet legalistically they are innocent. They're absolutely innocent. They're only going by a book that was given them. That book is where all their morals and all their laws and all their reasoning is attached to. And as long as they stick to that book and only do the things that are in that book, they are guiltless. This is how they act. They're not pretending. I mean, you've seen all the videos of them, how proud they are of even the evil shit they do. Extremely proud because they're the people of the book. That's what they're doing, man. And the rest of the world doesn't understand. They're just legalistic. And without a conscience, being able to do all that tells me that they are pure programming and that they're a part of the construct. They're a part of this entire experience.
Okay, so with what's going on at the moment, you've said it many times yourself that the whole world is a captured operation. You know, it's in a way, it's sort of job done. But obviously, I'm over here in the UK right now, and you know, you go into the city centre and you can see them rapidly changing. You know, like I might see guys walk down the road. I'm thinking, you just came off a boat. I can see that you just arrived here. You know, so I'm wondering how things are going to play out for us in the quite near future, to be honest, and whether it's going to go much worse because it's a captured operation and they're at war with us, or whether there's going to be some restoration of the civilization builder Caucasians restoring some of the balance.
Well, if everything points, listen, if mainstream media, they're genius at what they do. If everything in mainstream and alt media, which is now captured as well, if everything points to a catalyst, such as every news story, everything that's going on points that this is probably going to happen, which is racial war, racial conflict, all this stuff, I can pretty much guarantee you the exact opposite is true. We're always being gaslit. There's something else going on. We're heading in a totally different direction. I've told you guys many times over that the period before, probably a decade or so, before the actual Phoenix event happens is going to be a badass period. It's going to be a period that people like to live in. And then the Phoenix is going to be regarded as fucking effing terrible because everybody's enjoying this period of time. So It's we don't listen. Things can happen at the drop of a moment. Remember, we talk about World War II a lot, but what made World War II was only a few events that only lasted a day or two. You understand? We talk about how badass World War II was, and yeah, a lot of people died and all that. But when you minimize everything down to actual activity of World War II, this event lasted 1 day. This event lasted half a day. This event lasted 2 days. So it's the same thing. The entire trajectory of world history can be changed on a dime. That's why I'm not going to worry about the future. I'm just not going to worry about the future. But I know if the mainstream media is conveying to me that I need to worry because we're about to reach a boiling or a tipping point, and alt media is telling me the same thing, then something else is in the plans. There's something totally else. Something unforeseen is going to happen. This period of time we're in right now is to keep us on edge, because people, a population that's on edge is ready to receive a remedy that's offered. They're always ready. The more you keep a population on edge, the more ready it is to receive whatever remedy you offer them.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. I have got one other question. It's totally unrelated to those questions, if that's okay.
That's all right.
I uploaded onto the Underground a link to it was called the spiral anomaly in the sky over the Norwegian sky in 2009. So I remember one of the videos you put out recently, some of your older videos, it describes that in the historical record, they said that the sky was observed to spiral. And it just totally linked it up for me with what I'd seen online on YouTube. It was observed by hundreds of people, and they even put out news reports and put out ridiculous stories like it was some Russian missile testing that had gone wrong in the sky, crazy stuff like that. I'm wondering if you'd seen it or if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I don't know.
It's in the. I'll go look at it if it's in the Underground. I don't remember seeing it. Well, you got to understand. I didn't get out of prison until 2016, so it was already old news. It was already old news.
Yeah, it was purely because the link of hearing you talk about that in the historical record. I'm like, oh my God, there's a video of that. It happened in 2009 over Norway. So yeah,
it's also described in a lot of books, especially centered around the phenomena of the Bermuda Triangle. Different pilots of municipal craft have actually seen the sky corkscrew to where even the clouds were a part of it. And to them, it looked like now everything turned two-dimensional, flat as a piece of paper, and somebody was moving the paper in a spiral. Everything looked so clockwork. And I've described that as basically a convergence field. It's when an invading arithmetic overwhelms the present terrasphere arithmetic, and this is how men and materials are whisked away. This is how they have found some of those Cessnas. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but there's one aircraft was found near the Bermuda Triangle, and the pilots were missing, but the ship had looked like it had landed on the seafloor. It was just on the seafloor, but the men were gone. And the cockpit was sealed. So it just doesn't even make any sense. But a tertiary field. Well, this is such a novel revelation, even in archaics. Remember, we've only been talking about convergence fields within the last year. So this is still novel that we're not dealing with planets, we're dealing with planes. And when we're dealing with planes, we're dealing with two different arithmetics. And when they don't collide, they're like frequencies, they don't collide, they happen at the same time. But if you're vibrating on the Nemesis plane frequency more than you on Earth, when that is over with, you're going with Nemesis X. And there could be a total exchange. This could be the origin of all races. This could be the origin of new life forms, new plant life, and all that. Because things on Nemesis X, they have their own ecology, their own environment, whatever's going on there too on the Nemesis plane. So the occupants of the Nemesis plane are no longer vibrating on that frequency, and they're on a lower vibration. Yeah, they get dumped here. While those on a higher vibration here, basically, I hate that ascension stuff, but it's basically what is being described. But it's it's Exodus.
Yeah, because the corkscrew actually it actually opens up in the middle, and it's like you can see something through it. So it's exactly what you've been describing. So yeah,
Crazy.
great. Thanks for that, Jason.
People on the outside looking in who have never followed all the historical, chronological, and all the eyewitness accounts that are recorded in archaics, people on the outside looking in think we're off our fucking rockers. You know what I mean?
I think the people probably serving us here think we're off our rockers.
Yeah, man, out of there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason.
All these questions.
Well, I didn't, but I feel like a lot of these were already addressed in.
Sure.
Yeah. So I wanted just to put it in a nutshell. So I think that's
Okay.
awesome. Thank you, Jason. Cheers.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you.
When you course, I think it could lead into quite a long house.
Yes, okay.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing?
I'm just a short one. And it was about maps and a bit of tertiary fields as well. A few weeks ago, you posted a couple of maps for the Japanese ones, and there was a 1565 map with Antarctica, ice-free, loads of things, details on it. And when I zoomed in, there were a lot of animals on it. And I just noticed ordinary ones, with regular ones. There was rhinos, there was kangaroo. And as it went across, the very, very last one on the right was a unicorn. And it just suddenly, I was wondering, would maybe unicorns be vapor canopy creatures?
Well, I don't know if a unicorn's ever been found. I don't know. I mean, there is. I believe there's a Miocene species of goat that has a single horn. But I think unicorn probably came from the rhinoceros, because it is a unicorn in a way. Also, if there were any versions of long-legged rhinoceros, that could have been. But concerning those maps, you have to understand, when you see the maps from the 1600s that show all that, especially if they're Japanese or Chinese, I don't think the Japanese mapped any of that. Those were copies that were provided by the East India Company, the Dutch. The Dutch gave navigators in China, in the East, and Japan copies of old maps, because some of these maps would stay in circulation for centuries. And so I think that those changes actually happened, like we discussed earlier, in 1350. 1350 is whenever all the topography changed. But some of these later maps were still in circulation, and they were making copies of them, because that's what you do. When a map gets old, you make a copy of it. So it's like Chinese whispers. I can agree that at one point of time recently that there was no ice on Antarctica, because there's too many maps that show it. But after a while, I have to take it with a grain of salt that a cartographer was being truthful when he started drawing in some fantastic stuff like griffins, because my reasoning is this: when somebody makes a map and sees creatures that they have never come into contact with, if somebody is from the Dutch East India Company and they're making a map in like 1587 that's a copy of a map from 1482, and they see a creature like a zebra, and in their mind, zebras don't exist. Everybody knows horses are either white, black, or brown. You know what I mean? Or painted. No one's ever seen a horse that's got tiger stripes. So when he sees that that's there, it invites his own creative license to populate that same land with other monsters he's imagining. So this is just like Chinese whispers. You know, you get a room, you get a room full of people, 20 people in a circle. Whatever you whispered is not going to stay the same by the time that the original person heard it. Here's it. So yeah, there's truth in it, but then sometimes there's some embellishment as well.
Yeah, I kind of like to think they'll exist, though.
Well, I do too. I do too. We haven't found one yet. We haven't found. But I will say this, so you can keep clinging on to that hope. I will say this. We haven't found any fossils of horses, period. So there are no fossils of horses.
Cool.
So you can keep clinging on to your horse, your unicorn horse. So
yeah. Yeah, well, you kind of answered it really. I suppose it's just sometimes that mythology, because there's so much history missing, it's hard to know how much the mythology is much truer and closer to history than we believe, or are led to believe, certainly. So kind of that was where that was coming
from. So there's all kinds of interesting ways to look at it. So the whole origin of the centaur was because islanders, people who had lived on there's hundreds of Greek islands, and the centaur comes from ancient Greek mythology. But the islanders themselves, a lot of them don't live on islands that can support the horse. Therefore, horses aren't on any of those islands. Moving horses over bodies of water in the ancient world was only only advanced mariners would be able to do that. It took certain ships to be able to move a horse, much less a bunch of horses. So when Greeks who had occupied for generations certain islands, they come in contact with foreigners who have these horses on their ships, and then when the horses disembark, and there's a guy on top of the horse, and his legs are buried in armor or leather, and to the observer who's never seen a horse, doesn't see a horse. They see a man because they know what a man is, but this man has a huge ass and 4 legs. So this is what they see because they have no frames of reference. You'll never be able to convince them that that's not a man. It's just a man with a gigantic butt. That's all. That's what they see. So then we have the legend of the centaur, and for centuries people believe that even though now they have horses, now they believe that in ancient times, no man, there were horses with the upper body of a man. It never happened, but it became a part of the mythological record because of these points of contact. Same thing with the unicorn. I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain that the Assyrians, the ancient Israelites, and maybe the Kimri would put weapons on their horses, and because this was what the Africans did. Well, so it's I can see a horn coming off of a horse as a deterrent to approach that horse.
Weapon. Yeah, no, it's just that they're featured a lot in architecture and crests and royal signets, but there's no, yeah, they're not in place names, but like there's place names for phoenix, whereas there isn't for the unicorn. And
right.
But which may make it more significant. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm not trying to kill your unicorn dream.
There's no unicorns. I just have to go for the brontosaurs.
Yep.
Thanks, Jace. Take care.
So we've got Aaron's got a question, and then we've got Karen's got a question in 3 parts, and then there was a couple from the floor, and we've got about 20 minutes.
Sure.
See if we can get through what we can.
Hello, Jason.
How you doing, man?
All right, thanks. A bit nervous. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for blowing my mind many times in the past. One thing that I'm curious about is, at this moment, what part of your research or what part of your work is providing you with the most excitement?
Really, lately in my reading, I have been uncovering notes because I got too many files, and I'm always finding new stuff that was old to me a long time ago, but it's new to me now because I'm in it. I have been finding all kinds of references to human skeletons and skulls and artifacts and coal seams. I've been finding so much stuff against uniformitarian. I'm staunchly against uniformitarianism, but about 3 months ago, I asked myself a question. Where's all my data? Where did I develop this opinion? where in the hell did I get so against this whole model? I know it's not true, but something had to have. So I went to searching all my drives and all my files. I've been finding a whole bunch of old notes where, I forget what information I have collected, but I just remember what I know to be true now. So now I'm pretty excited because I'm going to be doing some videos on uniformitarianism. Going to blow your mind. There's no way you're ever going to believe in that system again when you see everything that we've actually found in the ground, man. Human skeletons and dinosaurs, even dinosaurs with saddles that have been found on them. All kinds of stuff, man. So much. That's what I've been getting into lately. Is all the archaeology, all the things that the establishment doesn't want you to know, things I've been documenting for years. I'm actually going through all my files, putting it all together.
Can I ask a very quick one?
Absolutely.
Was Jesus ginger?
So you've been talking to Ralph Ellis. So yeah, I didn't know of any other version of Jesus because that's like the oldest description we have of Jesus was redheaded, and I didn't know. Which also goes into the whole Typhonian mythos, the sacrificing a Typhonian. Typhonians were only red-haired. Ancient Egyptians had a practice. Human sacrifice was real if it was to stop the Phoenix phenomenon, which was Typhon. What do you have in the story of Jesus? You have a redhead who is crucified, but what happens? The sun darkens, just like a Phoenix event. So yeah, all these things were tied up into one story, man. It was beautiful. That's why I say it's literary, 100%. It was one of the greatest literary documents ever, and yeah, I don't there's no other references but redhead. You're not gonna find any historical record.
So that's a yes.
Yeah, that's a yes. That's a yes.
Thank you very much.
But you're also here. You're also hearing it from me too, because you have to understand. I believe it was literary. I don't believe it was literal.
I got you. Yeah.
Sorry, this guy's just got back from Japan, and there's three other people in the room also just got back from Japan. I don't know what that's about, but two Dannies and Wayne. Right. Wayne's here. Wayne's also just come back too. And on Underground, a month ago, we had 5 or 6 people in Japan. Now we haven't got any.
Wow.
Because they're all here.
Wow.
I can't afford it.
Well, I do want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Rise Above because I have that box of trinkets and I have been so busy with packing and unpacking all that. At my Houston meetup, some errants came from the UK and delivered to me personally a box full of pretty cool shit, merchandise from Rise Above. So I'll give a shout out to them boys right now.
Come on. Ariane's here. She bought that to you.
Yeah, that's
on the camera. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get in contact with them. I just been so busy. You guys already know I haven't been really doing a lot. But I'm definitely going to do some videos with them again.
Oh. Cheers, Jason. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so we got Karen here now. Hi, I've just watched his voice here. Funny thing.
Hi, Jason.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm really enjoying being at my very first event. And thank you for taking my question. You've mentioned already, or you've touched on vibration and frequency and exodus. So my question is, in your opinion, what will happen to those who don't make the next exodus? Is there a time for everyone in their soul's journey to make their exit? And also, is there a criteria to meet, i.e., do we need to be on a vibrational match as well as an awakened soul? Or is it just a case, as I've heard you say, that as awakened souls, errants, we are no longer of use to and unable to be controlled by this construct?
Yeah, so this is strictly a utilitarian issue. If the construct has a finite amount of energy, which we know it does because dungeon programming allows it to use its own occupants as a source for some of that energy by their constant feeding into it of their behavior. We've already discussed dungeon programming ad nauseum, but when it comes to the free thinking individual, if this truly is a simulated construct, then it has to render for you all new experiences in a new holography. That requires energy, and it's not getting the energy from you. So we have a problem with the more people, more souls waking up, the more worlds have to be rendered. The more worlds have to be rendered, it has to cannibalize that energy from those it's already ensnared. Not the free thinkers. It can't get any energy from them. They're not in a feedback loop. They're not in dungeon programming. So the resets are absolutely necessary to cull the field. It's just the opposite of what you would think. It's not the evil, and it's not the evil and the living dead that get culled. It's those who are awakened, because the construct doesn't need anybody who's not going to participate. It's almost like a graduation. Exodus is a graduation. You have completely done what you're supposed to do. You woke up and realized this is all bullshit, and you pretty much spiritually develop to the point where it's time to move on to a different environment. And who knows, the next sim might be a whole lot better, but I can't see it any other way. I can't see this entire experience, the whole predator versus prey ecosphere, just to make it more believable. The role of the Jews, which is genius. Well, it's absolute genius how the construct has a checks and balances system and uses these programmed idiots to make our lives miserable if we let them. So the best answer to your question is that this is certainly a finite system, and being a finite system with hundreds of millions of souls participating in different dungeon programs, those dungeon programs work flawlessly by their participants' participation. That's where it's getting its energy from. But if you're a free-thinking soul going your own way, the construct literally has to render for you the necessary energy for you to interpret it as an actual world. It's all being rendered for you, though, through the central nervous system and through your senses. You actually believe this is all going on, and it's happening. And it's so detailed because it has to be for you to believe it, even if you start disbelieving it. And it can do that for a finite number of souls. But when too many people start waking up, a reset is absolutely necessary. It's got to clear the field. Every computer system needs to clear the cache, or it can't operate anymore.
Thank you very much. I have a last part to this.
Okay.
Sorry. It seems inevitable that certain souls will accept to enter into a hybrid state by brain chip implant technology. Would this destroy their chance of ever leaving the construct? How does that affect the soul?
Transhumans.
Yeah.
Transhumans.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to ask that again.
Sorry. No.
Okay.
No. It seems that it's something that's been, or I've heard that has been done already, like brain implants, computer chip technology into the brain. How does that affect the soul? People that will enter into this hybrid state, who will accept that, how will would this destroy their chance of ever leaving the construct? Will it affect?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, this is so into the realm of theory. I don't. Purely opinion, pure opinion.
Yeah.
I don't believe that anyone here moored to source will ever get put into that exact position where something technological will moor them to a slave state. No.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I believe that it's in the field. I believe that it's part of the dungeon programming. I believe the mainstream media pushes the cybernetics and it pushes the transhumanist agenda and all that. But I don't believe that's going to be my fate. I don't believe it. I don't believe it has to be your fate. Is it going to be someone's fate? Yeah, it's called volunteers. There's a whole bunch of volunteers that lined up for that shit in 2020. So luckily, a bunch of them were given saline solution, but some of them weren't.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying I don't. That's the fear mongering. I don't want to entertain it because I'm a living example of how the fear mongering can affect you on the personal. Let me explain. So, from the beginning of my channel that I've always promoted that we're living in two simultaneous realities at the exact same time. One of them is the construct. It is the collective programming, and this is where we all agree on everything. There is no argument. If you throw a rock up, it's coming down. There is no argument. If you take a hot needle and poke yourself in the arm, you're going to feel pain. There's no argument that some of us are male and some of us are female, unless you're liberal. There is no argument whatsoever that if you don't put petrol in your vehicle, it's gonna stop after a while. There are many things that are axiomatic. They're absolutely true for everybody here. Now, that's the collective. The beauty of this experience is that there's another reality that's only personal to you. This is where all the magic happens. When you buy into the collective programming and apply it to yourself in the personal, then you take the personal and you basically marry it to the collective. This is the beauty of the system. You can remain insular. You can be insulated from everything happening around you. You can create a creative bubble that you live and exist in, and everybody's going to know something's different about you. They're all going to understand, but you're going to be immune from everything in the world. Or you can buy into the different fears and attach them to the personal. And then I did that recently. Let me explain. I have always lived my life as if I can eat. My diet can consist of everything. And I'm going to be fine. You know what? I have always been in tip-top physical condition. Even out of prison, when I was doing Paradise Rock Garden and slinging flagstone and boulders and importing statues, I was in tip-top shape. In my original YouTube videos, when I was working as a contractor, tip-top shape. There's no food in the world I would not eat. But you know what? I started listening to people tell me what's good for me and what's not for me. You know what? I'm coming out of that now. Screw that. I'm not listening to anybody anymore. I'm following my body now, because I have always been able to live my life as if it doesn't matter what goes in, because I have peptides that are going to synthesize and create everything that I need to heal my body and escort every toxin and every metal out of my body. And this is what I've always believed, and my body responded accordingly. Once I started listening to people tell me about my diet, I started getting effed up, sick. Certain foods make and now I'm like, damn, what am I doing? So in the past month and a half now, I don't care, man. I don't want to hear anything about it anymore. I'm going back to the old Jason. I'm going back in tip-top shape, physical condition. I don't care what I eat. I'm going to rely on the oversoul to take care of my avatar, and nothing's going to hurt me, because this is how I've lived my entire life. So in the personal, any information we take out of the collective can stain us, and we can suffer the consequences of that. We're still highly intrinsically personal, the informed field, but we borrowed that. I tell you guys every once in a while, don't borrow trouble. And that's what I did. I started borrowing trouble because what's true for you isn't going to be true for me. This is the beauty of this experience. The informed field is going to make true for me whatever I assume to be true. And however I live my avatar in that direction, it's going to become true for me. And I may be activating enzymes, hormones, and peptides within my body that completely neutralize every single foreign contaminant. Whereas you aren't doing that, because it's not your belief, and you're not living that way. You have bought into a system that requires you to have a certain diet to make you feel a certain way. And as long as you believe that, it works for you. Yeah, I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about anybody out there in the field. I'm just saying, this is what I've discovered about myself. In the personal, my connection to source overrides anything that I've borrowed from the collective. But if I lend any fear into anything that's out there in the collective, then I make the personal suffer it as well. And I did it to myself. I'm just done doing that. Part of this big move in my life isn't just a physical move from one property to another that gives me a lot more space to do these things. It's also a mental and dynamic spiritual shift because I'm shifting a lot of things about me. I'm moving forward on all levels. I'm burning all cylinders is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you very much. I can relate to that. That's really, really helpful for me. And I'm going to stop listening to others because it hasn't helped me either. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, there's time. One more question. I think there's an issue with the sound, and I think it's because we've got a big screen here with big speakers. So while you're speaking, you can hear us talking, but in the background, your voice is coming through our speakers. And I don't know what we can do about it except turn the mic off while you're speaking, but I don't want to risk coming out of StreamYard screen and messing about. I don't want to lose the connection. So I apologize. I think it's
okay, Ali.
We're in a big screen here, which I can't show you, but the speakers are right next to the laptop.
So let me get this straight. Over 2 hours into a presentation, you're going to worry about something on the way out the door.
I only just found out about it. Jasmine just messaged me.
Nobody cares about that. We're having a good time. Nobody cares.
Here it's fine. We have no problem hearing you. Everything's fine. But I think people listening in the chat are complaining, and it's not what we can do. But I think it's to do with speakers. But it's cool. No, we've had a great time. Just sorry for everybody else. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I'm Joel.
Joel.
Nice to meet you, Jason, man.
Good to meet you too, man.
Yeah. I'm asking this because his name came up earlier in the tour. Oliver Cromwell. There was obviously a pivotal point in the power structure of whatever was going on at that time. What's through your lens? What actually went on there with the tiny hats involved?
Yeah, Oliver Cromwell is the one that introduced the crown to being in debt to the Jews. Yeah. And that's what collapsed England. That's why London is called the city, and it doesn't even belong to the British people anymore.
Okay.
Look, he is the one that facilitated all the backdoor deals to basically bankrupt the royalty and get them owing foreign Jewish banks.
There you go.
Was it after Cromwell that they started slighting the castles? Was it to do with that time?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
What we learned today, that after Cromwell won the war, they would only allow anybody to have a castle of any size. They would slight the castles, which meant they would take the tops off. They would kind of disable them from functioning as castles anymore. They'd make the walls thinner. They took a whole section of the walls out. They were only allowed to make them half as thick as they were before. They put tar on top of the castle roofs to stop them putting cannons up there. And so the Cromwell's lot completely disabled the crown and the aristocracy and the people who had the money to build these castles from having any kind of stronghold that they could take back power. But I knew nothing about that till today. This slighting of castles, they call it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Somebody mentioned in the chat, and they're right. From 1290, there was the Edict of Expulsion under King Edward. But yeah, Oliver Cromwell, he's the one that ended the Edict of Expulsion. So at the exact same time, now the Jews were allowed to come in and own and buy businesses and all that at the same time.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers, man.
So we got we are next. I think we're about out of time. Is there anyone got any quick burning questions they want to ask? Come on, real quick.
Get out of the way.
Yes, absolutely quick.
They're going to throw us out soon.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm fairly new, been listening to you for about 8 months. So does that mean the tiny hats of Jews don't have free will? Very quick question.
That's too broad of a stroke, because I have a friend named Jason Orrick who is Jewish, and he laughs off a lot of this stuff too. And he doesn't participate in all that Talmud stuff. So it's too broad of a stroke. I can't condemn the whole culture based off the behavior that is demonstrated in the public by the media and alt media. We don't really know how much of this is true.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. It was just that, you know, talking about them as a part of a construct, and it really makes sense that.
There's definitely some of them. There's no doubt. The whole Epstein cult, all that stuff's real. It's all this, absolutely. But I can't say all of them. I mean, there's even factions among the Jewish culture that are against each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to connect with you on the Buckminster Fuller thing as well, because I have the same birthday as Buckminster Fuller and the same name town, and lots of coincidences with my life and the timings of Buckminster Fuller.
I just unpacked a whole. I think I got like 9 books, all 9 volumes of Buckminster Fuller. Yeah, that's a coincidence. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of books about Buckminster Fuller. Yeah.
Real. Thank you so much.
Okay.
One more thing.
Oh my God.
From all of us.
Oh.
Oh, thank you. Come on. So just while we're waiting, I just want to mention really quickly, we've got another live Q&A with Jason in July, where some of us are all coming over. We've got a big event in Dublin, July 25th.
25th, Saturday 25th.
Yeah. Just want to introduce you to this guy. This is my Pete, without which I couldn't do any of the things that I do. Absolutely. So you've got to get around the applause.
Oh, that's your husband? Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he doesn't want to say it, but I know he's tired of listening to my voice.
He's goes to bed at 11 o'clock and I'm still up at 3, and he makes me take the laptop into the snug because I'm not underneath the bedroom where he can't get any sleep. He's been for the past 2 years. Absolute rock. Martin. Yeah, so we're going to have a big raffle now with all that fabulous merch that you sent.
Awesome. Awesome.
And it's all over there on the table. So, and Ariane's going to do that. And then we've got as much again saved for Dublin. And then when your t-shirts arrive, because they didn't arrive in time, but that's okay, because we'll take them for next year. Hopefully, I think we're going to be in the south of England. So if you'll have us again next year, but we're on again in July. So if anyone wants to come to Dublin, we're selling tickets now. 3-day event. We start on the Friday, and then we'll see you on the Saturday, and then a bit more on the Sunday. Yeah, just like here.
Awesome sauce.
We wanted to show this bag off, didn't you?
Oh, I think you've seen that bag. Oh yeah, this wonderful bag Jason gave me happens to be the perfect size for a laptop. I don't know if it's meant to be a laptop bag, but I thought we would have put a laptop in to bring it safely here, and then it just fitted in perfectly. So
yeah, the guy that makes those bags, he never makes the same one twice. They're always different.
I think Jasmine had one too, slightly different to mine. I think it had archaics on, and mine's got the Phoenix. So wonderful. Okay. So I don't know if you want to throw us out and have a chat with.
I'm gonna go ahead and kick you out of my studio and keep talking to my community for a few minutes.
That's what I thought. We'll do that. We'll try and catch you up. I'll try and log on to YouTube so we can see what you're saying. See you on the other side.
Well, I'll see y'all on the underground. I'll see y'all later. Damn, look at all.
Hold that. That's how we do. Is he gone? No. Whoa.
I heard y'all. Gone. All right. They're gone. Kicked them out the studio. Kick them out. They look like they're having fun. I want to go to the UK one of these days. It'll happen. It'll happen. My dad's already got me. I was going to announce this later. My dad's already signed me up for a cruise in December. But I got to do some investigating on it because I may change the ticket to a different cruise and convince him to do that too. but I wanted to see if we can do an errant takeover of a cruise. Go leaving New Orleans and going to not Cozumel, but Cancun. I'll figure it out. Yeah, that was good. That was fun. Feels good to be back on YouTube doing something. Can't wait to get these studios up. This shit's some work, isn't it? Man, we're working our asses off. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. 1,000 people in the chat. So we got all kinds of videos on the way. Studio will be finished within the next 3-4 days. It'll be done. I'll move into the new place till Monday. I go back and forth when deliveries are required. We get a little unpacking done. We don't get much done. But yeah, kept the Q&A sanitized. That was all good. I have never been in a real castle before. That'd be badass. That would be super badass. This week will be the last week that I actually do a combined underground and Cypher. I brought both communities together, the underground and Cypher, to do a video. We'll do that again one more time, and then then the week after that, shoot, it's all good. I'll be totally set up. But I have a new program I'll be doing, but it's only going to be in the underground. It's underground and Cypher, but it's going to be I got a special studio for it. It's not going to be a YouTube studio. It's not for YouTube. I'm still doing the same amount of YouTube videos, but I got a special news program I'll be doing. All right. So you got any announcements, Whit? I'm kind of out right now.
Yep, I'm good.
I'm still tuckered. I'm still tired, man.
Love everybody.
I feel like I've been working out for 4 days straight.
5 days.
5 days, my bad.
Oh. We got 6 more boxes on the floor. We got to bring.
All right. Whit's telling me we got 6 more boxes of shelves to bring in.
Reach 80 pounds.
Yeah, man. Killing a man's dreams. All I want to do is rest. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit this outro with one of these pep. What we got here? What do we got? You know what? I feel like a pirate shanty. You know, I love you guys.
The bark of a million years, me lads, through tertiary fogs that swallow the stars. Ghost ships of NPCs drift past our rail, hollow crews with painted eyes, no souls to hail. Their lanterns flicker with scripted lies. Currents pull us where the old world dies. Yo ho ho, haul the sheets and fight the tide. False timelines call us, don't you dare abide. Whirlpool spinning, looping us back to the start, back to the beginning, tearing soul from heart. Heave away, break the chain, me heart is true. Sail for the new world, break on through. Those phantom hulls creak with empty decks, NPC voices echo of lives we never lived. Currents twist like ropes around the keel, dragging dreamers into timelines unreal. The fog grows thick, the compass spins a wild. One wrong turn and the sim has us beguiled. Yo ho ho, haul the sheets and fight the tide. False timelines call us, don't you dare abide. Whirlpool spinning, looping us back to the start, back to the beginning, tearing soul from heart. Heave away, frogs nest high. Steer by the chrono star, or we'll never see sky. We cut the ropes that the currents have spun. Ghost ships fade as the real world's begun. No more loops, no more fog so gray. We ride the bark to the break of day. One last whirlpool, one last pull. Then the fog parts and the new world calls. Yo-ho-ho, haul the sheets and fight the tide. We broke the false time